coming to you live from the On Air Media Studios here in Dallas, Texas. Welcome to Soundbites with Susan and Waylon, where we take a short extraction of our daily lives as publicists to share with you all, our audience here in Dallas and beyond. I am Waylon Tate with J. Waylon and Associates.
My name's Susan Friedman, and I'm with Friedman Marketing and Public Relations.
Yes,
Thanks so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you all.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I think it's going to be a good week. I woke up in a really good mood, which is not the norm.
Well, I'm glad you're in a good mood.
Yeah, I got some sleep last night. Normally weekends are crazy for both of us,
Yes.
really, and we talk about that often. But I didn't go out. I had no social engagements this entire weekend. That never happens.
That's good. You need a mental health day for sure. A
I
mental
do.
health weekend.
I need a mental health month, I think.
I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on Friday and started working. So by 12 noon, I was exhausted, and I ended the day a little bit early, and I ended up falling asleep.
Yeah. So you took a nap?
I took a nap.
Yeah, we've talked
Yes.
about this before.
I don't nap.
Neither of us really nap, and I don't know if that's just by nature. I can't do it. I lay there and I just spin, right,
Yeah.
about things that I should be doing instead of laying in bed, watching The Real Housewives of something. But anyways, and so yeah, it's this is episode 4 of season 2. We have a lot to talk about, and we have some really exciting. We have an exciting guest that's coming up later on in the show.
Yes.
But we should probably jump right into it with some stuff that you did last week.
Well, one of my New Year's resolutions is to network more, attend network events and so forth. So I found one that was a lot of fun, and it is held at the Dallas Entrepreneur Center every Wednesday from 9 to 10 o'clock. It's complimentary if you want to go, and it's called 1 Million Cups Networking Group. It's actually I believe it's a global networking group,
it's a
and
nation-
this is a
okay.
Dallas chapter, of course. And basically their theory is that entrepreneurs discover solutions and network over 1 million cups of coffee.
Throughout the
and
globally.
that's why it's
Okay.
called 1 Million Cups.
So what was your experience? Because this was your first time going.
Yes, so
Okay.
it's really great for startups. Basically, there's an opportunity for 2 presenters to present their new business.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
they have about 10 minutes. They give their speech, and at the end of the speech, they have their ask, whether it's for finances, funding, ideas.
General advice, maybe? from
Yes,
other
general
people?
feedback about the presentation before maybe going into a business to
Okay.
ask for money and so forth. So, and
Did it
you
feel
know
like a
whether
mini Shark Tank?
yeah, kind
Okay.
of. It was really neat. I really enjoyed it, and I was really impressed. This first one actually, it was a girl who was 16 years old. So anyone who's doing anything at 16 in entrepreneurial field is amazing. And she was starting a business called Feel the Color. And one of her relatives is visually impaired. And so this provides clothing labels so that blind or visually impaired people know what color is on
They're
the clothes
wearing.
they're wearing.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And at 16?
16.
And she sat in front of all those people and explained her story. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
And that's someone that will go far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was really neat. So I encourage everyone to go and try it. Dallas Entrepreneur Center every Wednesday, 9 to 10 o'clock, 1 Million Cups.
I'm going to go as well. Do you actually drink coffee while you're
Yes,
there?
they do.
Do they provide it?
Yep, they
Oh, that's
provide
awesome.
coffee.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna-
I
I
don't
would
think
love
you
to
could
go.
do that without coffee.
I'll send my
actually.
staff to go check it out, who's
Yes.
happened to be here today. Okay, cool. So something happened again. I mean, it's award season always, right? Like right in the beginning of the year.
I actually Googled when does award season end.
Stopped.
I was like, yeah.
Well, you watched it. I didn't even
I
watch
did.
it.
The Grammys were last night. I watched the Grammys. You watched part of the Grammys?
No, actually, I wasn't even tuned in, like, live. But of course, like, I was, in my bed, like, scrolling through my feed, and everybody kept talking about Lady Gaga's performance.
Amazing,
And
yes.
it was really
She
beautiful.
looks great.
She does. She is, honestly, in many ways, kind of like, she's a chameleon, right? She can reinvent her look and feel and aesthetic. And even her creative energy just changes.
Yeah.
And that's really what it takes for kind of an iconic artist to keep their career alive and flourishing, right? And I have to say, like, she didn't even look like Lady Gaga to me.
Right.
And I think she's beautiful in all of the ways that she does her art. But, she was really stunning in
Yeah.
both of those
She's so
outfits.
talented.
I have to say. She is. And she did kind of a rendition where I believe it was 2 of her songs put together. One is a tribute to her aunt, I think. Not
That, I'm not
Jolene,
sure.
I can't remember, but anyways, Joanne, and
We have a Lady Gaga fan right here.
yes, no, I love her. I think she's an incredibly talented artist. I think she's using her voice and platform in very good ways, which I always have a fine appreciation for. So, yeah, the Grammys were something I didn't participate in, but I did find an article this morning that kind of, and this is really interesting to what you and I do, wanting to know, what is the most talked about of anything.
Yes.
And the article really kind of shared the most talked about moments on Twitter from the Grammys.
Do you remember what they were? Did they point out anything?
They
Most
did.
talked about?
Well, the most talked about, the most tweeted moment of the Grammys was Keisha's performance that ends with Camila Cabello introducing U2. So I, again, didn't see the Grammys, so I wouldn't know, but apparently it was, I don't know if it was the U2 mix that might have, kind of invigorated everybody. Bruno Mars won Album of the Year.
He won everything. It was a landslide. In fact, there were probably the same people that were nominated over and over and over again.
Okay.
So Bruno Mars did win. He won Best Album, Best Record, and Song of the Year. All three majors, which, you know what is interesting?
What?
Only one female won a major award.
Who was that? Do you?
It was, yes,
I'm sure
actually.
you have it right in front of you, Susan.
I do. Just kidding. It's Alicia Cara.
Oh, Alicia
Best
Cara.
Best New Artist.
Okay. What does that say? I mean, we always get back to this topic, right? But it's like there are so many incredibly talented female artists, and I can't imagine why only one would win out of.
I know. And it was interesting because I was listening to the speeches and I was waiting for a lot of more political statements or the Me Too movement.
Sure.
And it was sub-level.
Okay.
A lot of the people were white. They must have gotten the memo in support of the Time's Up and Me Too movement.
Okay.
There were 2 acts that specifically went down that path.
Okay.
But altogether it was very mellow.
I saw one piece actually, and I think it was so everyone knows there was this book written called Fire and Fury. About Donald Trump and his administration. It was really written from the inside. And so they had, I think, 4 or 5, like Snoop Dogg, Hillary Clinton.
That was funny. That was actually one of the funniest things.
Yeah, and I heard that was really cool. I kind of saw a very small snippet about it, but that was, I guess, an injection of, some type of political statement, which is really only something of, I would say, the past decade, right? I remember growing up and being much younger that there was never a platform. You just didn't really talk about politics on award shows, right? So I know people are all up in arms about Patti LuPone singing.
You said that, which I was kind of surprised, actually.
What was it that she sang? Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, right?
But it was because Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote it.
Okay.
And so they were recognizing Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it was.
Maybe it was just the younger generation or the post-millennial generation that kind of attaches that song with Madonna, right? Because I think she was probably the last to record the song that I know of. But yeah, I just saw some interesting stuff on social media about them not being very happy with Patti LuPone for singing that song. But I mean, Patti LuPone is an icon, right?
Yeah.
And she's also someone that is not afraid to speak her mind. So I'm sure she had a few choice words for anybody that was.
I don't think she spoke, from what I remember.
Okay. Maybe she will today. I'm going to keep a lookout for it because I always love her fiery remarks. But so what's coming up this week as far as events here in Dallas?
Well, going back to my resolution about networking, there is another networking event I want to go to. It's at the Ritz-Carlton. And I just love this name. It's the Last Tuesday Happy Hour.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, yeah, what a great reason to go to a happy hour is because it's the last Tuesday of the month. Done.
Which is tomorrow.
Yes, it's
right?
tomorrow, 5:30 to 8 at the Ritz-Carlton. It's a business networking group. Based on Facebook and some of the social media, it looks like it's well attended and it's gotten great reviews. So
nice. Maybe
I'd
I'll
like to
pop
check
up
it out.
as well. I
Yeah.
love that space.
And you know me, I like the arts.
Yeah, you do.
And
You
I
love
actually,
the
we're talking about Argentina and everything. I went to Argentina and I took tango lessons. And that leads into the segue, the history of tango.
Susan, there's so much I don't know about you.
I'll have to tell you. That's
Okay, is
that's
that a whole
behind
nother
the
story?
camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, on February 1st, which is Thursday, it's the history of tango. And this is actually produced by the Fort Worth Opera Festival Symposia Series.
Okay.
But it's going to be held at the Latino Cultural Center.
Nice.
Yes. And a UNT PhD student, Sarah Lahaski, I believe, is really going to talk about its origins and communication of tango through dance, through eye movement, and everything, which I think is really interesting. I've never
It's a very intimate experience. Well, you would know, right? Because you've obviously taken the lessons.
Yeah, in
But-
Argentina. But
Yeah, that's pretty
yes,
amazing.
and so I think that will be really neat. And there's also going to be performances.
Okay.
So I think it's a free event as well.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. But yes, it's this Thursday from 6 to 8 at the Latino Cultural Center.
It's going to be a busy week.
Yes.
Anything else that we know that's coming up?
Like anything. You're already exhausted.
I'm already exhausted. I had this wonderful weekend of sleep, and now I feel like I'm not going to sleep at all
You can
this
still
week.
sleep. You just can't nap during this because it's from 2 to 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday,
okay.
and it's a fashion. A lot of times I talk about fashion here because
Well, you're in that
I
circle,
like
right?
yes. So this is Fashion is Fine Art panel, and it's being produced by the Goss Michael Foundation. The panel for this is amazing. It's Ken Downey, who is the senior VP of Neiman Marcus,
right.
exactly, and the fashion director. Curator of the curator for this is Nancy Rogers.
Okay.
And Charles Smith II. Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
Local designer who is amazing. He's so good. And so they're all going to do a panel, and they're basically going to discuss high fashion and collaborations and interpretation of the human form.
Oh.
So yeah.
And how I'm assuming that is very subjective, right?
Yeah.
To what is an interpretation of the human form, which I could go down a whole tangent about objectifying, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll
You
just
need to
appreciate
go
the
to
high
this.
fashion.
Ask
Yeah,
questions.
I will. I'll ask tons of questions. So, in the news, you brought something to my attention this morning that was really interesting and is so apropos to us and the show and what we
Yes.
do, which was Tonya Harding's publicist said adios.
Yes.
And in a pretty
Goodbye.
interesting way, right? As you all know, or may know, a blockbuster really came out this past year in 2017 called I, Tanya. It was a star-studded cast. In fact, one of my favorite actresses of all time is Allison Janney, and she plays Tanya's mother in the movie. In fact, she won
Yes.
an award, right, at the Golden Globes for Best Supporting Actress, I believe, in a motion picture. And so anyways, Susan had shared with me this morning, as we often do, we text back and forth before the show. And this is really interesting because, well, I'll just ask you this. I'll put you on the spot and you don't have to mention names. But have you ever had to cut ties with a client? I have. I do it every week. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't do it every week. It's few and far
every
between,
day.
but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's because I think you have to get to a point, and we have, again, immersed ourselves in this conversation that, I mean, I take it real seriously, right, whenever I represent somebody, and I'm going to be there through the good times and the bad. But as,
Why don't you tell our listeners why he quit?
okay, so, well, I would have to give a little bit of a backstory. So, basically, we in the media and around the media understand, and in the world of public relations understand, there's a direct and respectful relationship between publicists, who represent celebrities in this case, and the media, right? We can ask that things not be discussed. We can suggest topics and bullet points to stay on focus, but it's ultimately up to the media, right? It's up to the producers. It's up to the person interviewing your client, what they're going to engage in. All of this stuff was worked out before the show. And apparently, Tonya Harding was, I guess, not interested in speaking at all about her past and requested that her publicist provide contracts, I guess, de facto with the media that said if they talked about her past, quote unquote, they would be fined $25,000.
Correct.
I can't even fathom. I don't even know what I would do. I would probably be so lost in trying, like
I think if
lost for
somebody
words.
asked me that, a client, I would start laughing because I would think it was a joke.
Yeah.
I'd be like, is that
and actually
April?
on the screen you're seeing. So
Yes.
Michael Rosenberg had been the PR agent for Tonya Harding for quite some time, I was really kind of blown away in the exact words he used in this statement, right? So that's kind of salty. Tonya is now goodbye, Tanya. Like, what this tells me, because obviously Michael Rosenberg is a publicist and he understands that once you put something out there, it's never coming back, right? He must have been pretty heated maybe about their separation.
They've obviously had gone through quite a bit of discussion, and they were just bumping heads.
Yeah, they were. So
I'm proud of him for standing
his ground.
Yeah.
Because there are some times when the requests from a client are so preposterous that there really is, it becomes a situation where I can no longer represent you because you're asking me to do something I just simply would never do. Because what a lot of people don't understand, you guys,
it
is
reflects
that
on the image of the publicist.
And it takes a very long time to build a personal relationship with people in the media, right? And so we have boundaries ourselves that we won't cross over, and it's our due diligence to tell the client,
yes,
I'm not doing that. So,
and I feel like a client is hiring us for our expertise, and if they don't trust us and utilize that expertise, it's just not a good fit.
It's not a good fit. I don't know a publicist on the planet that would ever send a document like that to a member of the media.
Well, I mean, you actually mentioned several other publicists who have quit.
That's right. That's right. There were quite a few. So Charlie Sheen's publicist in 2011 left because he went on his own. It's a big no-no for a client to book media appearances without using your publicist to do so, and had said some very scandalous things. So his publicist said adios as well. Lindsay Lohan's publicist, God love him, stuck with her through quite a bit of the craziness, but ended up cutting ties as well. In 2016, Chris Brown's publicist, who is actually very well known, her name is Nicole Perna, I believe. She actually went public with the text messages back between the two of them, and he called her some foul names, and it all boiled down to she wasn't able to get him into GQ and Vogue. And after he went off on her, she basically went back and said, they're not interested in you, Chris. Like, it was a pretty candid conversation, so she parted ways.
Yeah, that's hard.
And then we've talked about Kevin Spacey, publicist, on the show a couple of weeks ago about how it was just too much. And actually the day after the accusations of sexual misconduct, she severed that relationship as well.
This is one thing that I do want to mention, though, with Michael Rosenberg, who was Tonya Harding's publicist, is they've been on and off over the last 24 years, but when all that happened, I almost used a curse word, when things happened with Nancy Kerrigan, he was still supportive. He was not representing her. However, he went to bat and talked to the media saying, no, Tonya Harding was not directly involved in this. And even though at the time he wasn't getting paid by Tonya Harding or anything, he's continually supported her for 24 years.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty profound. So, okay, we're super excited to bring on our next guest, but before that, we want to show you a reel of some incredible work that Visual Voice Media has done for other clients. And then after this short break, and you have seen this piece, then we'll bring on Michael Gonzalez with Visual Voice Media. If not, we might be able to just bring him on now. We're running a little bit short on time. So why don't we pause for a quick break with our client, Crudo Vodka, and we'll be back shortly. We're back, and we're back with a super special guest, at least for me, and you as well, right? So Michael Gonzalez is the president and founder, what's the best, owner?
Founded Visual Voice Media.
The man behind Visual Voice Media, which is a local video production company, who is, you're really only, what, years into this
Yeah,
project?
yeah. We started December 2015 is when we founded the business.
Okay, it was, I have to tell you, I met Michael at
I was gonna say, how did you guys meet?
we were at I was on a panel at kind of an entrepreneurial
Yeah,
spirit. It was like a
networking
mini Shark Tank, right?
Yeah, exactly,
And I think
yeah.
there were 4 people that were starting businesses that kind of presented to us, myself and 2 or 3 other people on the panel, and we gave our own feedback as well. And Michael had just attended the event, and we met before it started. And I have to tell you, like owning a business, I can see something inside of someone else, right? When they've got the energy
That
and the
chemistry,
drive
yeah.
and and I know they're going to go places. And so we exchanged information, and I'm not sure. I can't remember what would you remember what the very first project was that we worked on together? Was it the Drag Star Diva video?
It was, yeah, this is the Drag Star Diva, the charity event.
Yeah, so following the Pulse shooting, I own another company, and we did a fundraiser and raised quite a bit of money, and so I wanted to capture this experience, and so we hired Michael to come in and shoot, and created a beautiful mini movie. Really, it was like 7 minutes long of that experience, and then that just led to boom, 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 and then we have probably worked on 6 or 7, 8 clients together.
a lot, yeah,
quite
a
a
lot
few,
since, yeah.
quite a few. So he, along with his incredible team, I mean, these people work like, I mean, around the clock to provide the best quality of product possible, and they've never ceased to amaze me with what they've done.
Excellent. Well, I was asking, and you do all types of video. You
Yes.
said a majority of it, though, is for social media or online marketing and so forth. So that's awesome. And we were saying yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week on the show, that actually video content is the #1 growth in marketing and public relations for 2018. So
Yeah.
you're in a great business right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think it's really important to for businesses to use video content because you can say so much in that versus somebody reading like a post or just looking at a picture. You can get a message across in like 30 seconds and just really
How
share.
long, we were talking about that. So if somebody wants to do video messaging, let's say, on any social media platform, what do you recommend for the length?
Yeah, well, I mean, like Instagram, they only allow up to a minute, but usually on Instagram, like 15 to 30 seconds.
Wow. That's,
Yeah, it's quick, and you have to really tell your story in a very quick fashion. Facebook, you can be a little bit longer because people hang out there a little bit longer. So it really depends on the medium that you're using,
Sure.
and really kind of what you're wanting to say. But I mean, in today's age, people have a lot shorter attention span, and if you don't capture their attention in the first 30, 45 seconds, then
You may not.
yeah, exactly.
capture
Yeah,
theirs.
so you got to tell your message quick, and then if you grab their attention, then they'll stay to watch and learn and everything like that.
What is the thought process behind, again, it's odd that I ask you this because we have conversations about it, but what do you think is kind of the most important aspect of putting someone's story together in 30 seconds? That's a difficult thing to do. And you've done it over and over again for our clients, but do you, is it the intention behind what you're wanting to do? You're trying to reach clients, or are you really trying to get their core branding down in 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of both. Like you said earlier, I work with a team of people, and we really we sit down with the client and we see what exactly they're looking for and what message do they want to convey. And then we go back and okay, what's the most creative, compelling, visual appealing way to tell that story?
Okay.
And so get whatever our time length is, and we just try to map out our shots and see okay, this is how we can tell their story, and this is what it's going to capture their attention. And
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always bugging Michael, and I'm like, what do you think about this? Because I show him other people's stuff, and there are so many do's and don'ts, right, when it comes to, never more so than with corporate branding videos, right?
sure.
And what do you remember what I always tell you? I always say I don't want talking heads. I want a lot of B-roll. I want a lot of voiceover, because you need movement and animation. People get so bored.
It's visual.
It's
I
visual,
mean,
like
it's visual. I bet you could probably do 15 to 30 seconds with no word, with no talking.
Yeah,
And you
no,
could still
definitely.
get that message across.
yeah,
Definitely.
it's so what are some
what are-
other do's and don'ts that you could tell? Let's just say someone doesn't have the $70 billion that you charge for videos. I'm just kidding.
I wish.
and they are trying to use, maybe handhelds or their own type of material. What are some things that you've seen that people should absolutely avoid, or maybe what's some advice that you could give people?
Yeah, I mean, it really is about the message you want to share. If you own a business or are running a company or social media page and you want it to come across like professional or to look like the other ones that have like 50,000 followers and stuff like that, then it really is about investing in the time it takes to create that content.
Sure.
I mean, you can't really create, I mean, you can, but it's not advised to create a commercial with just using your iPhone or something like that.
Okay.
Like, I think it's important people take the time to invest the money and time it takes to, with professional cameras and a cinematographer and a director and things like, and a company that can produce an actual ad or like branding video for their business and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so a lot of people like, I got a cell phone in my pocket, I can take a picture,
Right.
film a video. But if you're trying to reach really, influential people or other businesses, it doesn't always look the most professional just to have a shaky iPhone video up on
It's the
on your
worst.
page.
I will have to go out and say that I think one of the most crucial aspects of even shooting yourself, and we do live teasers before the show,
Yes.
is lighting. Like I make Susan roll around in this chair until we find like the best lighting, because it really makes or breaks kind of the video,
It does,
because
yeah.
I look like the crypt keeper in some, right, with not good lighting.
Yeah.
But
I know,
mean,
I was
if
like,
you
we're
could
doing
see
a
the
hand
array
towel.
of like lights around us
Yes.
now. It's important, and I think that would you agree, Michael, that you can actually do more damage for your brand if you have not so good video than maybe not doing it at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, because if people come to your page and you have a bunch of, let's say, amateur video work and it's something you just filmed, like with your cell phone or something like that, it's people are more inclined to take you less seriously
Sure.
than if they were to go to another, let's say you own a coffee shop or something and they go to your page and you have a bunch of very like professional photos, professional videos and things like that. They're naturally you're just more drawn to that business versus somebody who's, at home, with their phone, just taking the picture and stuff like that. So it really is investing time, investing money, and getting the lighting, the cameras, and just sitting down and taking the time to tell a story about your
Sure.
brand and about your business.
So let's say somebody has, I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask this. Somebody wants to do a 30-second video. How long is that actual day for you? Like,
Yeah.
how many days, weeks, months? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so for a 30-second video, you could spend 12 hours just filming, setting up lights, setting up cameras, and actually trying to get the shots you want. And then going into post-production, I mean, weeks. It could be a month just till you get it right, because you'll put together like a rough cut and then you'll show it to the client and they have their notes, their feedback, and then you go back and do another edit and you just kind of keep going and keep molding it until you have what the client was envisioning and everything like that. So you go through sound design, you go through color correction, you go through all the editing process and stuff like that. So it really is very involved. I think a lot of people think, 30-second video, you can do that in a day or whatever, but if it's done the right way, it takes quite a bit of time.
Yeah, case in point, you shot Crudo Vodka's newest commercials. One's been released, one is still awaiting. I think we're going to wait another 2 or 3 weeks to take it live. But the shoot that we did for the Crudo original commercial took, it was hours and hours and hours of filming, because people don't understand like the setup, right? Like, what is it called? The tracks? For
The
camera
dolly tracks, yeah.
Every movement has to,
Wow.
the amount of lighting and stuff that goes behind that. And then post-production, as you and I have talked about before as well, is really what takes the most time, because you're color correcting, like he said, it's like fusing all of this material together to get kind of a very fun, and that commercial is only, what, 38 seconds, 40 seconds?
Yeah, it's just under 45 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So keep a lookout for that. We'll post that particular commercial for Crudo Vodka, who is one of our sponsors. And we'll also post some other really interesting stuff about Visual Voice Media and ways in which, in fact, tell them how they can get a hold of you in case they want to hire your services.
Yeah, we have a website, it's visualvoicemedia.com. And our Instagram handle is visual_voice_media. And we also have a Facebook page that you can find us on visualvoicemedia.com. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
We will post all of that, obviously, on susanandwaylon.com. And so before we exit, we'll send you out of this episode with Visual Voice Media's Reel. So until next time, please have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful rest of the week. Make it a productive one. Check us out across all of our social media at Susan and Waylon. And we will see you next week. On Monday, we'll have a really special guest, Jake Davis, the mastermind and floral guru behind the Twisted Tulip, will join us to talk about Valentine's Day and all the flowers that you can possibly want. So thank you so much, Michael,
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us. We
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and here is some of Visual Voice Media's magic.